The Grand GSL title. A prize pool fit for a pro gaming god. And a breathtaking Code-S performance to remember. Maru versus Rogue. These two legendary masters of the hit RTS title StarCraft II went head-to-head for the first GSL Code-S champion title of the 2021 season. A Terran versus Zerg matchup between two world-famous StarCraft II competitors. For game number 1 in the best-of-7 series, it was Destination 2000 Atmospheres. Both players were in it for the long haul, as Rogue went for an early third expansion, while Maru played more defensively rather than opting for a proxy barracks. With a horde of Zerglings at his command, Rogue was consistently applying pressure to Maru's third base. This forced the Terran player to continuously retreat his forces from the front line. This play bought enough time for Rogue to tech towards Roaches and Ravagers. The Ravager bombardment made short work of Maru's siege tanks before turning their attention on his engineering bays. This was a precise and devastating blow to Maru. His upgrades were halted, his secondary mineral line was crushed, and while he tried desperately to defend from the high ground, Rogue slowly swallowed the map in blue. Maru did not give in. He continued to harass Rogue with medevac drops while rebuilding his economy on the northern side of the map. The Terran Master was working the high ground to his advantage against the constant Zerg army, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, there's just nothing he can do. Rogue has smothered Maru in the first game, and it's going to be a win on the board for him here. There's nothing that Maru can do to retaliate. GG.
One up in the series, Rogue entered Game 2's Oxide with great confidence. Once more, he went for a speedy 3-base start, but this time it was Maru who turned up the heat with a few advancements of his own. Rogue easily identified all of Maru's drop entry points. With Roaches defending every inch of his base, nothing could go wrong. He bought himself time to mount a formidable attack, but Maru answered in kind with a wall of siege tanks. Marines won the battle, but the war was far from over. At the 11-minute mark, a base trade started to develop. Rogue attacked with a sea of Roaches on two fronts before turning his attention to Maru's main base. Maru had Rogue's mineral lines in his sight, cascading through the bottom of the map with an army of Marauders, Marines, and medevacs. With limited numbers, Maru eventually lost the trade.
Looks like Rogue is going to just barely clean this up with the Rogue
Oh my God! Rogue
There's almost no workers left.
Barbarian, look at this.
Yeah. What a down and dirty game.
Rogue found himself 2-up in the Code-S Grand Finals as the battle for Blackburn got underway.
Anything else like Hellion-wise is going to be coming
Hellions were on the move. Maru found ways to strike Rogue's drones on multiple fronts, just enough to slow him down. With his eyes on the prize, Rogue made the first real push. There were several casualties on both sides. Maru lost control of his expansion, but still fended off the Zerg invasion. Every time Maru recovered, Rogue swung back at him even harder, with what felt like an endless amount of bile-spitting Roaches. Resources were running short for Maru. Assaulting Rogue's base was a suicide mission, but the Terran player had nothing else left to try.
But I mean, this is apparently, according to Rogue, the way to beat a 4-time GSL champion.
Hey,
is you just smother them in Roaches. GG, Rogue takes game 3.
Something had to give for Maru.
For Rogue as well.
One more win for Rogue would be a flawless victory for the Zerg Master, and the map of Nautilus would be the battlefield of choice to get him there.
Yeah, but
The standard 3-base tech to Roaches came out from Rogue, who at this stage was on track for his 4th win in a row. Maru bunkered down and prepared for a similar attack that pressured him in the first few games. Blasting Rogue's roaches to smithereens, Maru needed to keep his third expansion alive and well if he wished to amass an army great enough to secure the map win. For the first time in the series, Rogue started to lose the numbers game. His forces were being focused, resulting in a huge swing at a crucial point in the match. Maru had the infantry upgrades. Medevacs were keeping his marines alive, while his siege tanks had a field day on a shrinking horde of roaches and queens. Maru had found his win. He could do it. He broke down Rogue minion by minion before his army numbers got out of hand. This was the secret to defeating him. The Terran Star wanted to do it again on the map of Jagannatha. The distance to cover was much greater, but Maru still made an attempt at claiming a few lives with a handful of Reapers. Small but precise attacks in the early game worked well for Maru in the past. A single Banshee was causing a lot of problems for Rogue as 6 of his drones hit the deck. Hellions followed soon after. The value Maru was finding by damaging Rogue's mineral line was immense. Even with a slowed economy, Rogue shifted to the iconic Mutalisk playstyle and was ramping up to deal some damage of his own back to Maru. SCVs were being destroyed by the winged threat from above. The attack continued onto Maru's main command center. More SCVs dropped as the mass of Mutalisks hovered between 2 of Maru's mineral lines. The natural counter to this was more and more Marines. The ground infantry can cut through Mutalisks in seconds, so Rogue had to play cautiously from here on in. The Flyers were only a distraction for the real attack. Banelings waddled their way into Maru's mineral line and exploded on impact, taking down a total of 22 SCVs. Maru's economy was crippled. The sacrificial ground unit became the star of the show, and Rogue was about to give Maru a lesson on just how powerful these units really are.
Here come the Banelings rolling in right now. A good connection there. And they go on top of Marauder Thor. Yeah. They will kill the Marauder Thor and then keep going.
He just keeps rolling through, killing more SCVs.
I mean, that was about as
Rogue had emptied out Maru's bases. The Terran player was left vulnerable as waves of Zerglings descended upon his mineral-starved and undefended side of the map. Accompanied by a swarm of Mutalisks, Game 4 and the GSL Code S Grand Final was over in seconds.
Oh my God!
Rogue had done it. With mixed unit compositions, exceptional macro, and an unmatched unit count, Rogue won the end-of-season premiere event, proving to fans and players worldwide that the reign of Zerg is back and bigger than ever. Congratulations, Rogue. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with the amazing esport content from around the gaming globe. Only on Unbeaten Esports.